Hi everybody, my name's Carly. I'm going to be talking about culture shock today. You might remember from a few weeks back that our textbook defines culture shock as the psychological reaction you experience when you encounter a culture very different from your own. Looking a little bit more at this definition, basically culture shock is all the feelings that you have when you are placed in a new cultural setting. You might be uncomfortable, feel a little bit uneasy, and communication can be frustrating because you are often required to learn new basic rules of communication. We've all probably had experiences with this because culture shock can happen anytime, anywhere. You can experience it just by meeting a new group of people, switching schools, or moving to a different country. You will be in a situation where you need to learn new ways to communicate, and you'll probably make some mistakes while you're learning, which can be scary and frustrating. To highlight this concept, I chose a clip from Mean Girls. In the clip, Katie is a new student at a high school. She was previously homeschooled in Africa, so she's experiencing quite a lot of culture shock throughout her day. In this clip, Katie is meeting a new group of girls for the first time, the Plastics, and they're having some issues with communication because Katie doesn't always understand what the other girls are saying because they're using different rules and different expectations of behavior. One example here that I like specifically is when Regina, who's the leader of this other group of girls, tells Katie to shut up. She's using shut up as an exclamation of surprise because she just can't believe that Katie is from Africa and was homeschooled. But Katie doesn't understand that this is just an interjection. So Katie says, "I didn't say anything. Why are you telling me to shut up?" basically is her reaction. This is just one example of culture shock that happens throughout the whole movie. And if you watch the entire movie, you can see the different stages of culture shock. The first one is the honeymoon stage, where Katie is pretty fascinated by this new culture that she's found herself in, and she's making friends and trying to sort of see how this all works. The next stage of culture shock is usually the crisis stage, where you start to run into problems with communication because you don't know how everything works and you don't know the rules. As you move forward, the next stage of culture shock is recovery, because you are starting to learn the rules and you start to know how to communicate in your new culture. And so you're getting a little bit more comfortable. And then the final stage is adjustment, where you have basically mastered all these new rules of communication. You might still run into some problems, but for the most part, you can communicate without problem in your new culture. What we can learn from Mean Girls and from looking at the different stages of culture shock is that the best way to avoid having trouble with culture shock is to know that it happens. You are always going to run into things that you don't know if you're in a new culture that has new rules that you're not aware of. So the best way to not have so much trouble with it is to just know that this is going to happen and that you might have some trouble in a new culture. Be aware that you might make mistakes and just be open to learning how to correct them. And then you should be able to navigate through any cultures that you wish to visit and communicate in. Check out the clip, and remember that culture shock happens, and we're all going to get through it.